Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Keri Dillon. We are joined by Jim Keith here from Keith Funeral Services.
Hey.
Good to have you.
Good to be here.
All right, let's decode a couple of things.
All right.
There are terms that exist in the industry that we need to know about here,
All
Mr.
right.
Jim. The difference between undertaker, mortician, and funeral director. Those are pretty different roles. Tell us about how they're different.
Well, a lot of it's the same. People use the same thing interchangeably. You know, they just do. You can't stop it. They just do. So you might be a funeral director. I like to say funeral directors are more educated. You know, I had to go to mortuary school. I had to have a bachelor's degree before I could even get into mortuary school. I had to do an apprenticeship. I had to take national boards. But sometimes if I just want to shock people, I just say, yeah, I'm an undertaker. You know, shock value, I guess. But it's all about licensing and things like that.
So does each one of them require different licensing?
In some states, but a funeral director or an embalmer always have to have an embalming license if you're going to embalm, and that means you have to go to mortuary school. However, there's a class of license in South Carolina that doesn't require mortuary school. It's kind of like someone wants to be in the business, but they don't want to put forth the effort. So, you know, it's just not a real license in my mind.
Gotcha. So you don't even have to switch hats. You just keep the one on.
I just do it. Yeah, you know, you wouldn't go to a dentist that didn't go to dental school or use an attorney that didn't go to law school.
Right.
So, you know, why would you use a funeral director that didn't go to mortuary school? It's kind of like, you know, hiring a race car driver that can't reach the pedals.
Sure.
You know, you're going to have some help.
Sure. So what kind of courses were offered at mortuary school?
Well, pathology, biology, chemistry, anatomy, law, accounting, marketing, merchandising, grief management, stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the sciences.
Okay, gotcha. Is there an interesting lest I digress here, but you know, the population of students who want to take this in, is a lot of it family business, or is it?
It used to be all family business.
Yeah.
In my, when I started mortuary school at Pittsburgh Institute of Mortuary Science, and I'll give them a plug, they're considered the Harvard of mortuary schools.
There you go.
We started, I think we had 46 people start, and it's a 1 year straight through program.
Yeah.
And we had 19 graduate.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people were just there because their parents wanted them to go to mortuary school and get an extra license.
And sometimes it's not a good fit for people.
It's not a good fit.
Yeah.
We had this one girl in our class that when she walked past the morgue, she would hold her hand up so she didn't have to see.
She's probably not a fan of Hotel Transylvania.
Probably
right?
not.
Not that you are a fan of it. Lest we digress.
Okay.
All right, let's talk a little bit about pre-planning.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about, you know, what's needed here for
Well,
this.
pre-planning, you have to have a license to pre-plan as well.
Important.
Important, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be a funeral director and you have to have an insurance license. If you go somewhere and they have two signatures on your contract, that means somebody isn't one or the other, or isn't both. And you just have to be careful with that. But we're doing a thing now with $500 down, guaranteeing the prices for 2 years.
Oh, that's great.
Make payments when you want to, and it's been very successful.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of coming in and sitting down.
Exactly, but it's a process. You make easing into this process so easy. I mean, it's a process for people to figure out what they're doing here, and they think about it for a little bit, don't want to think about it, then after they think about it, they know they have to get into action.
It's making them pull the plug and get something done.
Yeah.
That's what the key is.
We have all of these.
I know.
We could have some gallows humor with that.
Oh, we could. I sometimes think about writing down all the weird stuff that I've seen and done over the years, but most of it's very embarrassing, so I'll just hang on to it.
We digress. Okay, so it's safe space to be, and you also offer cremation services?
We do.
Yeah.
Actually, about 85% of our business is cremation. It's just a national trend. When I got into the business, I think it was 1990,
yeah.
It was about 7% nationally. Now, cremation is 52% nationally.
Is that right?
And here, it's still pretty much true. The more money you have, the more education you have, the more likely you are to cremate.
Yeah. All right. And so how long is, when somebody comes to sit down with you, is it something that, do you take walk-ins?
Oh yeah, we get a lot of walk-ins. We get people driving by on Arrow Road that see the sign and say, I've been meaning to do that, and they'll stop in. And sometimes a death has occurred, and sometimes they're just on their way somewhere else and they decide to stop in. If you know what you want, it doesn't take very long, 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
If we go into a lot more detail, it might take a little longer, but it's very simple.
Yeah, and you can always do like an introductory.
And I send stuff home. Yeah,
Yeah.
I send stuff home with people. Here, take this home, look it over, fill it out at your convenience, and bring it back.
I mean, people need to percolate on this. you know, get some questions answered and ask some of those hard questions with their family members. You know?
And I say that when you come in, I should answer all of your questions, but if I do something correctly, I should generate more that you didn't think about.
Well said. Very well said. Keith Funeral Services. Jim Keith, always good to have you.
Good to be here.
We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town.